Coming up tonight, government still ironing out the details of the country's border reopening. Meanwhile, a businessman found himself back before the court facing new charges. ARAWAK key vendors respond to criticism, and photographers host a webinar.
Our News is brought to you by LLOYD.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, any visitor who manages to make it into the country with a positive COVID-19 test will be turned around and deported, according to Tourism Minister DIONISIO, who provided some clarity on his announcement that everyone will be required to have a negative test before traveling to the Bahamas after July 1st. He said the government is still working on some details. Bethany McDermott reports.
Despite that major announcement by the Tourism Minister, DIONISIO said today government is still working to address certain issues just 2 weeks ahead of the July 1st reopening date. In the event a COVID-positive person shows up at the country's borders, DIONISIO says that person will be denied entry.
I can't believe that anybody would be so silly as to go to a country with a positive test. If they do arrive, they will be turned around and deported.
So in terms of deporting, will we be footing that bill or?
I presume that if they're a foreign visitor, they have a return ticket. Whatever it takes to have them deported, they'll be deported.
This as he admitted that the new protocol will no doubt impact tourist arrivals.
It will probably deter some people from coming to the jurisdiction. But, you know, that's the balance you have to play. On the one hand, you can open up the country and allow as many persons as you want into the country and run the risk of making your people sick and having a spike in cases. Or you can have some sort of testing in place to mitigate the possibility of that risk. It's very important for the Bahamian people to know. We can't eliminate the risk. We can just mitigate the risk.
DIONISIO explained that government is working to devise a system where persons will have to apply online to enter the country. To speed up the process, he said approvals will be given online and at the country's borders by immigration officials. The application, he added, will also assist health officials with contact tracing.
When they apply online, they'll have to upload a copy of their COVID-19 test. Either it will be reviewed prior to their arrival. If it isn't reviewed, when they present themselves at the border, it will be reviewed at that time to make sure that it's the correct test within the correct period.
Prime Minister Dr. MINNIS ordered the closure of the country's borders in March in an attempt to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. To date, there have been 104 confirmed cases. Then there's the situation of Bahamians looking to travel for short periods. The Tourism Minister was asked if Bahamians will then be required to get tested for COVID-19 in order to re-enter the country.
So the government is working through that right now, trying to address those issues. There are obviously, you know, I'm going to Florida for the day for medical reasons, or I need to make a 2-day trip, and when I go over there, I can't get the test in time to come back. So the government is trying to address those issues, and in very short order, the Health Directorate will come out with guidelines on that.
And with the July 1st deadline quickly approaching, the goal is to have all of the kinks fully worked out in hopes of properly facilitating international travel. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
A 38-year-old businessman was brought before a magistrate to answer to charges that he possessed and uttered a forged Securities Exchange Commission check valued at $850,000. Damalis Curry of Old Fort Bay is accused of committing the offense on January 6th of this year. Curry is the second suspect to be charged in connection with this matter. 41-year-old Jeremy Pinder of Eleuthera pleaded not guilty to fraud and money laundering charges back in March. He was released on bail. Curry also pleaded not guilty and will return to court later this month. He was also charged back in early March with one count of laundering $465,550 alongside former Senator and Minister of State for Immigration Elma Campbell and her son, Che Chase. Bahamas Power and Light's plan for a rate reduction bond has been delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister, who told Parliament that the delay will not derail those plans. However, it still remains unclear how much it will cost BPL customers monthly. Jasmine Brown reports.
Singapore has been approved for listing the bonds, and an engagement letter has been executed. The boards of the BPL and the Bahamas Rate Reduction Bond Limited continue to work, along with many company executives, to be in a state of readiness once the markets that were impacted by COVID-19 reopen, so that the transaction can be brought to a favorable conclusion.
Bannister told parliamentarians that the bond will be executed once the markets that were affected by the COVID-19 outbreak reopen. Citibank is BPL's lead manager for the issuance of the bond. Still, it remains unclear how much BPL customers will be charged monthly to pay for that bond. Bannister was adamant that the charges customers will face will be offset by a reduction in the fuel charge.
What we're saying is that, yes, there will be an increase, but that increase will be essentially non-existent because of the efficiency of the fuel that we're going to use, and because of other improvements that have been made. And so the bills will essentially remain the same after a very short period of time.
The Public Works Minister said until that bond is listed, the company will receive much-needed financial support from the government, which has transferred some $246 million in BPL loans to the bond sheet of the Bahamas. Bannister said the government will help right the ship at BPL so the national utility can start delivering consistent power at lower cost to customers.
We've earmarked more than $48 million of the funds to be generated by the rate reduction bond for major transmission line and substation upgrades, and millions more for other T&D grid works. Of course, because of the delay in closing the rate reduction bond, these investments have been delayed. In the interim, BPL has continued to perform maintenance and reinforcement works on the transmission system. This year, the company completed a major transmission system project to provide supply to the Point Hotel on West Bay Street. That involved the installation of new cables from the Big Pond substation and will improve the capacity of the network in the West Bay and Fort Charlotte area.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Teachers are on board for the sitting of national exams set to take place in July, according to the Education Minister, who said many educators have come forward to offer their services. Giorgio Bain reports.
The Ministry of Education has issued a call for invigilators to monitor students taking BJC and BGCSE exams next month, according to the Minister of Education, Jeffrey LLOYD. So far, LLOYD says his ministry has been pleased with a number of teachers coming forward, despite what appeared to be pushback from the Teachers Union president.
The most recent invitation has been extended to the teachers, those who wish to sign up as invigilators and center managers. And we have been more than pleased with the response thus far. I'm very proud of the union president and the union in the support of our decision to conduct these examinations. They were very honest and candid in expressing their concerns, which are legitimate, because they have identified that there are some students who would be disadvantaged, and we recognize that.
BJC exams are expected to run from July 13th to August 3rd, and the BGCSE exams will run until August 14th. Public school teachers are not required to provide invigilation services, but they can apply to be paid for $15 an hour. LLOYD said his ministry understands concerns expressed about the exam, but they have a duty to fulfill.
But we also have to look at the totality of students who deserve to take these exams and who have expressed an interest in taking the exams. And in fact, we are overwhelmed by requests by parents and others who are seeking to register to take the exams. Unfortunately, they are not able to because the time has passed, and it takes a certain length of time to process that. So that is going very well, and we are very excited about this opportunity for our students to credential themselves.
LLOYD also dismissed concerns that the national grade point average could be affected by this year's examination.
I think it is unfair when we take a look at this banter that I described, because people bring to this scrutiny the mindset of the GCE, which I took back in the days when I was in high school, and it's not fair because the BGCSE has a different assessment scale, and it is in that vein that you need to evaluate this quote-unquote grade point average.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
The Ministry of National Security is expected to roll out 200 police body and dash cams in less than 2 months. National Security Minister Marvin says the equipment will be worn by officers in August.
They didn't have time to do. All right? And so your answer to the body cams, they come in.
Over the weekend, 3 men died during a police-involved shooting. Body cams are viewed as a way to make the policing process more transparent. According to the minister, training is ongoing online for the use of the cameras due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The government spent nearly $700,000 on the equipment in February.
We have been very progressive as a government in dealing with how do we bring a greater level of transparency to our law enforcement agencies, because I am a firm believer that police officers, as is how it was supposed to be, that we police by consent. Police officers police by consent. The consent of the people. The people must be afforded the opportunity to see how they perform and the service they deliver. And that is why this government has embarked upon this program.
Still to come on Our News, ARAWAK key vendors respond to social distancing concerns, plus COVID-19 impacts straw market rent. Stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference.
More the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
ARAWAK key vendors are reacting to reports that there was a lack of social distancing at the popular Bahamian hangout during the first weekend without a lockdown. A table full of patrons, but no face mask in sight. This 6-second video, reportedly recorded at ARAWAK over the weekend, shows a masked Prime Minister Dr. Hubert MINNIS chatting with a group of young people. Some speculate that he visited the popular spot to see if social distancing was being enforced.
After 10 weeks being locked down, nowhere to go, people are excited to come out. They need somewhere to go to release that tension.
ARAWAK business owner Carlos Thompson was eager to open his doors after buying the Prime restaurant spot in late 2019. He had plans to open in March after carrying out extensive renovations, but the world had other plans. 10 weeks of no business later, and the stakes are high for the 46-year-old, who's trying to start making a return on his investment. Thompson says it was difficult to enforce social distancing at his Island Life bar over the weekend.
A lot of people come without masks because they ain't taking it serious.
Other vendors like MINNIS chose to stay closed during the first weekend. This weekend, though, he plans to open. He says vendors on the eastern side of ARAWAK are largely responsible for the large crowds, but he admits there were a few fish fry businesses that fell short.
On our side, we had a few persons that didn't adhere to it in the way that they should be, but I think now we are on board and everybody is on one accord.
Vice President of the ARAWAK Association and owner of Candy's Enterprises, LILLIAN Smith, admits there were some discrepancies on Saturday. However, she says wrongdoers have been punished and the businesses in the area are on one accord.
Those persons who were infractions along the beach, they have been reprimanded. And I think that pressing forward, all of the vendors on both sides are going to try and maintain 100% to the degree assistance with the customers in reaching that goal.
Thompson says he thinks this weekend is crucial in determining the way forward for restaurants.
When you explain to them that they could cause you to get shut down and go back under lockdown, they'll comply. This week we're more prepared because we understand it more better if the chance is given for us to continue.
The global pandemic has cost the Straw Market Authority nearly $200,000 in rental income in just 3 months, according to Works Minister DESMOND Bannister.
The loss of income to the SMA during that period is $165,550, which is a 71% decrease.
On March 20th, the Straw Market Authority advised vendors that all markets would be closed until further notice because of the COVID-19 emergency orders. The authority also announced it would not charge vendors a daily rent of $5 during the closure.
The global pandemic caused some changes. The market was closed. During that period that the market has been closed, No vendors have been charged anything. All of the routes and all the markets have remained closed.
Still to come, high school seniors share their challenges. Stay with us.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
At the conference,
the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Welcome back. Preparations for national exams, challenges preparing for college, and virtual graduation ceremonies are just some trials facing high school seniors. They shared how they're coping with Jillian Gray.
As the school year comes to a close, high school seniors are talking about the challenges they've faced and how they've had to persevere.
A lot of us, we were scared. The anxiety was through the roof because there's a lot of time of uncertainty. Just not our graduation plans have been derailed, but our entire senior year has been derailed and cut short.
Being from Freeport, I was actually stuck over here during the COVID-19, so trying to balance that as well as school, it was challenging.
KUVANTE NEWBOLD recently won the Miss Teen International Bahamas competition and said high school for her was going to be another shining moment. After going through Hurricane Dorian, she said the first real day of senior year was January 1st. Having to recalibrate once again was challenging. Natalie Bain, who attends R.M. Bailey High School, said many of her classmates struggled to adjust to the virtual learning platform as their home life was stressful.
School was their comfort, and so being home and having to adjust to the virtual learning, and then it was just too much. I heard a lot of people want to give up. A lot of persons drop out of some classes. It was like a lot for them.
The challenges for seniors are vast, as many of them say preparing for college is now more difficult than ever.
It put a lot of persons' college plans on hold, and especially since the embassy isn't open now. And a lot of parents are scared to send their children away into a foreign country when the disease is still so prevalent and ongoing.
Brown Jr. is taking 7 BGCSEs this year. Newbold, who already holds 8, is taking 3, and Bain, who has 7, is taking 1 this year. They all say they feel prepared for the exams and continue to review to ensure they make the top grade.
I would just say persevering and pushing through it, just finding the silver lining in this dark cloud. That's all I have.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
A Bahamian photographer is looking to help businesses with the transition to digital this Friday by hosting a webinar free of charge. Sherrod Lightbourne says he had to adjust to the new norm brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic and says Hustle and Flow will help new and established businesses to do the same.
SherrodLphoto.com/learn. Everything is there. All the information is there. I partner with Canoe to really push all of the promotions. We're going to be talking about teaching people how to go cashless, how to go paperless with their businesses, mobile payments. It's a ton of really, really knowledgeable stuff, really great information that they're going to learn how to, improve their business and ultimately create a consistent stream of income.
Digital payment app Canoe has gotten involved as well. Marketing manager Glenique Knoll says more companies have found the value in going cashless and paperless.
It only makes sense. And also with Canoe, we have other features as well. So not only can you send money to friends and family, or not only can you pay merchants, but you can also top up via BTC or Live. You can also interact with your clients, communicate with them, and interact with them using digital coupons, digital gift cards, digital punch cards, and so many more tools that will effectively boost your productivity and manage your time, which is what we're doing with Hustle and Flow.
Still to come, a Bahamian plays a role in a major sports documentary. Stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference,
the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
A Bahamian behind the scenes of the most watched sports documentary in ESPN history shares that experience. Marcellus Hall has the details.
The Last Dance documentary was the most watched in ESPN history. Little known fact for a lot of Bahamians is that there was a son of the soil behind the scenes, Andrew Thompson.
I like the way he thinks.
What time is it? Game time! Andrew Thompson, brother to Bahamian NBA legend Michael Sweetbells Thompson, and uncle to current NBA All-Star Klay Thompson, was the brain trust behind this major endeavor that captured everyone's imagination for 5 straight weeks. Thompson, who served as executive producer, spoke with us and says he was surprised at how well it was received.
I mean, I knew that we had an incredible documentary in 1998 once Michael stole that ball and he hit the shot. I knew we had the holy grail of all documentaries because it's Michael Jordan, and he finished off that championship in that season in such a dramatic fashion. But to say that we could have predicted that it would become this worldwide phenomenon, a 10-part series that happened in the middle of, this whole pandemic and the lockdown, this was something that is way beyond anything I could imagine.
Thompson saying that one of the key components of capturing the raw emotions of the moment was getting the trust of the players and coaches.
We had to earn their trust. And it was like walking on eggshells, man, for 2 or 3 months, where we had to make sure that we didn't, make Michael mad because we were in his face all the time, or we had a boom or camera in Phil's line of sight when he's trying to coach. So we had to really try to feel each other out. They had to get comfortable with us. We had to make sure that we were comfortable with them. We had to learn body language. There's certain times if a player looks at you kind of side-eye, it means stop rolling. If the coach looks in your direction in the cameras, in the locker room, he's probably telling you, okay, time to leave. So that whole process took a while, but once they got comfortable with us, we literally were like flies on the wall. They forgot we were there, and it worked out great.
He added that 20 years later allowed the players to really be honest with their feelings.
Michael was tough, and he can be tough sometimes. And so the span of time made guys more open and more honest, and that just provided the perfect combination of capturing the footage raw in the moment and them being honest about what they thought at that time.
And we will have a lot more with Andrew Thompson as he talks other roles that Bahamians can play in terms of production and behind the scenes. I'm Marcellus Hall for our news.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the RevGo Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Thanks so much for joining us. On the Record with Jerome Sawyer is up next.